This is Patrick McCarthy reporting with Tri-Cities Community Television. We're in Leigh Square Studios in downtown Port Coquitlam. And today we have a local artist, actually a writer amongst our midst, who just published the latest book, The Beggars Dance. Farida Somjee, welcome to the studio.
Thank you, Patrick.
Well, first of all, I guess congratulations on your independent award.
Thank you.
We'll talk a bit more about that later, how tough that is to get.
Yes.
But first of all, I mean, obviously you're from the Tri-Cities. Just tell us a little bit about who you are and what got you interested in being a writer.
I was born in Tanzania, East Africa, and I came to Canada in my late teens. When I was little child, about 10 years old, there was a child when we went for an ice cream treat. My dad took us for an ice cream treat, and when I say us, it's my brother and me. And right outside the side path, by the ice cream parlor, there was a little boy, around 8 years old, I believe, and with his mother begging. And I was in my car, in the comfort of my car, in a luxurious lifestyle, and my dad was treating us ice cream. So it made me wonder what was wrong with this balance, right? There's a boy, he's on the footpath, and I'm here in my car, and it didn't make sense to me. So I wondered about this kid for a very long time, how he could have survived and what happened to him, and that was the seed that made me write this book, the story of the beggar that I once met.
So we'll talk about the character in a bit, but obviously
Yes.
you came to Canada,
Yes.
and I guess, what year did you come to Canada? I can't remember.
I came in 1981.
So 81. So then
Yes.
you've gone like to me that's interesting. The glass of the vehicle and the two worlds, and then
Yes.
you come to Canada,
Yes.
and you haven't really written anything,
No.
but the story is still percolating.
Right.
And so how did that get from just that idea percolating in your mind to actually then, okay, I'm going to write a book?
Okay, so in my 20s, of course, I came to Canada, so everything was exciting, and life happens, and you're in your 20s, 30s, I was a mother, and then in my late 40s, I suddenly realized, I thought about this boy again, and I suddenly realized that there was nothing special about me. I was just born lucky. And that's what made me feel that I have to write a story, because I had been thinking about this boy for a very long time, and I need to tell this story. So I did the writing.
And we were lucky enough to, I saw your reading at Western Sky Books, which is
Yes.
the new bookstore in Port Coquitlam. And for folks out there, it's always a great way to meet new artists in the region. But you really talked a lot about your character. Like, I mean, the Juma, the character, and sort of how he follows you around, and how the story just started to
Right.
kind of write itself. Is it, so you talk about that writing process.
Yes.
Can you give us an insight into your process and how this character, in a
Yeah.
sense, came alive? Because you'd seen the physical character, but you hadn't actually, this person's not real.
Yeah, he's not real, but there are lots of memories from my childhood that resonates. So everything I've written in this book resonates from my memories. And I do not plot, so I didn't plot this book. It was just coming, so I was just writing. So I may have written the first few chapters, and then the end came to me, so I wrote the end, and in between, then I wrote the middle, and eventually the whole story just folded by itself.
Yeah, and I guess some of these characters, they say with writers, I mean, you have obviously an evil character
Yes.
in the book,
Yes.
and the pimp.
Yeah.
So, and sort of, I guess, from that Western Sky reading, you were like, I didn't like this person at all, obviously,
Yes.
which is a good thing. I guess you have a bad character, but
Right, yeah.
so
And
how did you come to peace with this evil guy?
Yeah, so because I don't plot, some characters, they just showed up, such as a pimp, and I didn't like him because he wasn't part of my thought about my story that I'd been thinking all along, and I wondered where he came from, but he was part of the story. I'm glad he was, because he became a very important part of the story. So I let him be, and then I realized that he was ruling me more than I was ruling him. So I let him be. I welcomed him in the book, and then there he was in the book.
And I guess the award part for me, we talked a little about, obviously this book was self-published. It took you a couple of years to put together, but I wanted, if you could just pass on some of the, I mean, you won an award for Whistler for an independent book. But in a sense, though, your book, though self-published, has followed a lot of the key steps in traditional publishing to make it a worthy piece of art. Could you just talk a little bit about your advice to people out there with independent books and sort of the steps you took that were making sure your product was worth the read?
Yes, so the independent book publishing is as good as traditional publishing as far as I'm concerned. You can choose either way because there is so much out there and so many choices you can make. But one advice I would give to my fellow writers or who wants to get into independent book publishing is make a good book. Write a good book, do your edits, go to professional editors, get a professional book cover designer, get everything professionally done as you would with the traditional book publishing before you publish a book.
And the sense, I guess, what made you also go from keeping the story in your head and sort of putting it to paper? Is there obviously a passion? What is your passion?
Yeah, so it's the passion of writing, telling stories. That's my passion. When I was little, I always told so many stories in my head. And I always felt that I wanted to be in the movies, be a movie star. That never happened. And suddenly I realized, actually I'm a storyteller and I have to write a story. So write from your heart, be passionate, and follow your passion.
And so this is obviously the first successful book, or the first book and successful.
Thank you.
But like all great writers, you've got on a second project. So can you tell us a little bit about your second project?
Yes.
And if you're going independent or you're looking at doing traditional publishing?
I don't know yet.
Out there, check it out. Call her number, I got your number.
I don't know yet whether I'll go traditional or self-publishing, but I'll give traditional publishing a try. It's a good way to go.
You've sold the independent one.
Yeah,
so
I've done the independent one, and it's great. I don't regret it at all. It's lovely what I did. So yeah, that's what I'll do with my second novel. It's still in progress.
So now that the second novel is there, are the other characters still following you around, or are they got to make room for those characters?
No, actually, they left me. Every so
There we
often
go.
I open my book and say, hey, come on.
Come back.
Come back.
So I assume that the Beggars Dance can be picked up at Western Sky Books.
Yes.
And
Western
as obviously you have your own website, we'll post that for people to see. I want to thank you very much for coming in the studio.
Thank you,
I think
Patrick.
the cover is absolutely beautiful.
Yes.
I know it's designed by your son.
Yeah, it's designed by my son.
And I love the extra gold label there. I know it was a lot of hard work to get it there. So again, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you
So
so
if
much.
you want a really good read from a local artist, it's called The Beggars Dance by Farida Somjee, a winner of a Worcester Independent Book Award. It can be picked up at Western Sky Books, which is the new bookstore in Coquitlam. This is Patrick McCarthy reporting with Tri-Cities Community Television. This community program would not be possible without the financial support of our corporate sponsors and community members. Tri-Cities Community Television would like to especially thank the cities of Port Moody, Coquitlam, and Port Coquitlam for their belief and support of community television. If you wish to be part of our volunteer team, become a sponsor, or make a financial contribution to support community programming, please feel free to contact us at the following locations.